Commander Thexavel stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the stars through the massive viewing window. His gray skin reflected the blue light from the ship's control panels. The Valerian exploration fleet had been traveling through space for 3 months, searching for new worlds to claim for their growing empire. Today felt different. The ship's sensors were picking up strange energy readings from a distant star system. The signals were weak but definitely artificial. Someone had built technology there. "Captain Velthar, what do your scans show?" Commander Thexval asked, turning to face his intelligence officer. Velthar was smaller than most Valerians, but his mind was sharp. He had discovered many useful worlds for their people. Velthar studied the data flowing across his screen. His 4 eyes moved quickly as he read the information. "Commander, I am detecting human settlements on the 3rd planet. The energy signatures match human technology patterns we have seen before." The bridge became quiet. Every Valerian officer turned to listen. Humans were known throughout the galaxy as a young species. They had only been traveling between stars for about 50 years. Most alien races considered them weak and primitive. "How many humans live there?" Commander Thexval asked. "The readings are strange, sir. 3 years ago, our deep space sensors detected a colony of about 50,000 humans. They called their world New Busan. But now, I am seeing almost no life signs." Commander Thexval felt excitement growing in his chest. An abandoned human colony would be perfect for Valerian expansion. Humans built good infrastructure, and they often chose planets with valuable resources. "Set course for the human world," he ordered. "All ships, prepare for system entry." The Valerian fleet consisted of 12 warships and 5 support vessels. They carried enough troops to conquer most small colonies. But if the humans were already gone, conquest would be unnecessary. As the fleet approached the New Busan system, more details became clear. The planet was beautiful, with blue oceans and green continents. Cities dotted the main landmass, connected by roads and transportation lines. Everything looked peaceful and quiet. "Still no response to our communication signals," reported the communications officer. "The orbital space around the planet is empty. No defense platforms, no patrol ships." Captain Velthar enhanced the surface scans. "I am detecting abandoned settlements across the northern continent. The largest city appears empty. Buildings are intact, but there are no people moving around." Commander Thexval smiled, showing his sharp teeth. "The humans must have left in a hurry. Perhaps they ran out of resources or had some kind of internal conflict." What the Valerians did not know was that far below the surface of New Busan, 50,000 humans were watching their every move. In a deep underground command center, Lieutenant Hyunwoo Park sat at a monitoring station. For the past 3 years, he had been living in these hidden tunnels with the rest of the colony. The surface world above was empty by design, not by accident. Hyunwoo was 28 years old and had been born on New Busan. He had spent his whole life on this world, and he was not about to let aliens take it away. His job was to monitor space around the planet and watch for approaching threats. "Alien fleet confirmed in orbit," he reported to his supervisor. 12 warships, 5 support vessels. They matched the Valerian ship types from our intelligence files. His supervisor nodded. The humans had been expecting this day for years. Their long-range sensors had detected the approaching alien fleet when it was still months away. That gave them time to prepare the perfect trap. Hyunwoo activated a hidden transmitter. The signal was weak and used frequencies that looked like natural background radiation. To any alien listening, it would sound like nothing important. But to the humans waiting in the underground cities, it carried a simple message. "The fish have taken the bait." Above ground, the Valerian ships moved into orbital positions. Commander Thexval ordered detailed scans of the entire planet. He wanted to know exactly what resources were available and where the best landing sites were located. "The planet has excellent mineral deposits," Captain Velthar reported. "Iron, copper, rare metals needed for our technology. The humans also built several manufacturing facilities that appear to be in good condition." "What about the cities themselves?" 3. major population centers with the largest containing about 20,000 empty buildings. The humans left behind most of their infrastructure. Water treatment plants, power generation, transportation systems, everything we need to establish a permanent colony. Commander Thexval was pleased. Taking over an empty human world would be much easier than fighting for it. His people could move in immediately and begin using the existing facilities. "Are you certain the planet is abandoned?" he asked. Captain Velthar double-checked his readings. "I detect no active life signs in any of the major settlements. Some automated systems are still running, maintaining basic power and environmental controls, but there are no humans anywhere on the surface." The truth was very different. Deep back, underground, thousands of humans were living in vast bunker complexes. They had spent 3 years preparing for this moment. Every building on the surface had been carefully modified. Every street had been studied and planned. The entire colony was now a massive trap, waiting to spring. In the main command bunker, Commander Junho Kim received Hyunwoo's signal. He was 45 years old and had military experience from Earth's colonial wars. When the colony first detected the approaching alien fleet, the Leadership Council had chosen him to organize their defense. "All sections prepare for Phase 1, he announced over the internal communication system. "The aliens have arrived, and they believe we are gone. Maintain complete silence until further orders." Throughout the underground cities, 50,000 humans made final preparations. Soldiers checked their weapons. Engineers powered up hidden defensive systems. Families gathered in the deepest shelters, ready to wait out the coming battle. The Valyrians had no idea that their easy conquest was about to become the deadliest mistake of their lives. The abandoned human colony was far from empty. It was a fortress built over 3 years of careful planning and hard work, and now the trap was ready to spring. The next morning, Commander Thexval felt confident about his discovery. The empty human colony would make an excellent addition to the Valyrian Empire. He decided to send ground teams to explore the surface and claim the most valuable locations. Colonel Zexamira led the main landing force. She was a tough military officer with 20 years of experience conquering other worlds. Her job was to secure the largest human city and prepare it for Valyrian occupation. "Begin landing operations," Commander Thexval ordered from his flagship. "Colonel Zexamira, take 500 troops and establish a base in the main city. I want complete reports on all human facilities." The Valyrian transport ships descended through the atmosphere like metal birds. Their engines created loud noises that echoed across the empty landscape. The ships landed in what used to be the main spaceport of New Busan City. Colonel Zexamira stepped out of her transport and looked around. The human buildings were simple but well built. Streets were clean and organized. Everything looked normal, except for the complete lack of people. "Spread out and search every building," she ordered her troops. "Look for anything useful. Technology, weapons, resource maps." The humans left in a hurry, so they might have left valuable things behind. The Valyrian soldiers moved through the empty streets with confidence. They had conquered many worlds before, and this seemed like the easiest victory yet. No resistance, no fighting, just empty buildings waiting to be claimed. Deep underground, the humans watched every movement. The colony's tunnels were filled with monitoring equipment that could see and hear everything happening on the surface. Thousands of cameras and sensors tracked each alien soldier. Commander Junho Kim sat in the main command center, studying multiple screens that showed Valyrian movements throughout the city. He was impressed by how well the trap was working. The aliens were positioning themselves exactly where the humans wanted them. "They are focusing on the government district and the industrial area," reported engineer Soo-Jin Lee. She was 32 years old and had designed many of the colony's hidden defenses, just as we predicted. Soo-Jin had spent 3 years converting the colony's mining equipment into weapons of war. Giant drilling machines became mobile artillery. Construction vehicles became armored fighting platforms. Even the simple transport trucks now carried hidden weapons systems. "How long until our defensive systems are ready?" Commander Kim asked. "All underground positions are complete," Soo-Jin answered. "The surface weapons need 12 more hours for final calibration, but we can begin operations anytime you give the order." On the surface, Colonel Zex Mira established her headquarters in what used to be the Human Colonial Administration Building. The building was large and well-positioned, giving her troops good views of the surrounding area. This city will make an excellent Valyrian settlement, she reported to Commander Thexval over the communication system. The humans built good infrastructure, water systems, power plants, manufacturing facilities. Everything is in working condition. What about defenses? The commander asked. None that we can detect. No military bases, no weapon storage, no defensive positions. The humans clearly abandoned this place without a fight. While the aliens explored the surface, life continued normally in the underground cities. The humans had built vast tunnel systems during their 3 years of preparation. These tunnels connected living areas, workshops, supply storage, and military command centers. Dr. Mi-Young Choi walked through one of the main underground corridors. She was the colony's chief strategist and had planned every detail of the trap. At 40 years old, she had studied alien military tactics for most of her adult life. The Valyrians are behaving exactly as expected, she told her assistant. They see an easy conquest and are becoming overconfident. Overconfident enemies make mistakes. The underground cities were marvels of human engineering. Families lived in comfortable apartments carved from solid rock. Gardens grew under artificial sunlight. Schools and hospitals operated normally. Children played in recreation areas while their parents prepared for battle. Above them, the Valyrian exploration continued. Alien scientists studied human technology with great interest. They found the humans had been mining valuable metals and growing enough food to support their population. Everything suggested a successful colony that had been abandoned for unknown reasons. I found something interesting, reported one Valyrian scientist to Colonel Zex Mira. He was examining a human manufacturing plant. These machines can produce advanced electronics. With some modifications, we could use them for our own technology. Document everything, the colonel ordered. We will need detailed reports when the main colonization fleet arrives. That evening, the Valyrian ground teams made camp in various locations throughout the city. They felt safe and comfortable in their temporary base. Guard patrols walked the empty streets, but they were not expecting any threats. In the deepest levels of the underground command center, Commander Kim held a meeting with his senior officers. The room was filled with experienced military personnel who had been preparing for this day for 3 years. The aliens have taken the bait completely, he announced. They believe we are gone, and they are settling in for a long occupation. Tomorrow, they will begin moving heavy equipment to the surface. Captain Daehyun Shin, the colony's military commander, studied the tactical displays. Their orbital ships are lightly defended now. Most of their troops are on the ground. When we begin Phase 2, they will not be able to retreat easily. What about civilian safety? Asked Dr. Choi. All families are secure in the deep shelters, Commander Kim replied. Emergency supplies will last for weeks if necessary. But I do not think this battle will take that long. Major Yoon Hya Nam, leader of the Special Operations Teams, was ready for action. My soldiers have been studying the alien positions for 2 days. We know exactly where each enemy unit is located. When we strike, it will be fast and complete. The Valyrians had no idea they were being watched by thousands of human eyes. Every conversation was recorded. Every movement was tracked. The humans knew more about the alien forces than the aliens knew about themselves. As night fell on New Busan, both sides prepared for what was coming. The aliens slept peacefully, confident in their easy victory. The humans made final preparations for the greatest military surprise in colonial history. The trap was set. Tomorrow, the Valyrians would learn that abandoned did not mean defenseless. The 5th day of Valyrian occupation began like any other. Colonel Zex Mira woke up in her temporary headquarters, confident that her mission was going perfectly. The abandoned human colony was proving even more valuable than expected. Commander, Thexval wants us to establish a permanent base here, she announced to her officers during the morning briefing. We will begin moving heavy construction equipment from the ships today. This was exactly what the humans had been waiting for. In the underground command center, Commander Kim received the news with satisfaction. The aliens were about to make their greatest mistake. They are bringing more troops and equipment to the surface, reported the monitoring team. Estimated arrival time is noon. Perfect, Commander Kim replied. Signal all units. Phase 2 begins in 3 hours. Above ground Valerian transport. Ships began landing in the main city. They carried construction robots, heavy machinery, and additional troops. Commander Thexaval was planning to build a major Valerian settlement on New Busan. The aliens worked efficiently, unloading equipment and setting up work sites throughout the city. They chose locations in the business district, near the spaceport, and around the old human government buildings. Each site would become part of their new colony. Captain Dae-hyun Shin watched the alien movements from a hidden observation post. He was 38 years old and had fought in several colonial wars before coming to New Busan. Today would be his greatest battle. All units report ready, he announced over the secure communication network. Weapon systems charged, tunnel, teams in position, orbital defenses online. At exactly noon, Captain Shin gave the signal that changed everything. All units, execute Phase 2. I repeat, execute Phase 2, now. The abandoned city of New Busan suddenly came alive with violence and chaos. Hidden weapon ports opened in buildings throughout the city. Advanced railguns emerged from what looked like empty office windows. Energy weapons appeared on rooftops where the aliens had never bothered to look. Every major street became a killing zone. The Valerian soldiers were caught completely by surprise. One moment they were setting up construction equipment, and the next moment they were under attack from every direction. "We are under attack," Colonel Zexmira screamed into her communication device. "Human weapons fire from multiple locations. This is impossible." The weapons systems that engineer Soo-Jin Lee had spent 3 years building worked perfectly. Railguns fired metal projectiles at incredible speeds, punching through Valerian armor like paper. Energy weapons sent bright beams that destroyed alien equipment instantly. But the surface weapons were only the beginning of the human plan. Major Yoon Hai-nam led the first tunnel assault team. She was 29 years old and had trained as a special operations soldier on Earth before joining the colonial mission. Her team emerged from hidden entrances behind the main Valerian position. "Strike Team 1 in position," she reported, beginning rear assault. Her soldiers came up through concealed tunnel openings that looked like ordinary maintenance covers. Within seconds, they were attacking the aliens from behind, cutting off retreat routes and creating panic in the enemy ranks. Throughout the city, similar tunnel teams emerged at carefully planned locations. The humans had spent 3 years mapping every street and building. They knew exactly where the aliens would position themselves, and they had prepared accordingly. The mining vehicles that Soo-Jin had converted into weapons platforms burst from underground garages where they had been hidden. These massive machines were now armored and armed with powerful weapons. They rolled through the streets like metal monsters, crushing alien equipment and scattering enemy troops. In orbit, the skeleton crews aboard the Valerian ships detected massive energy readings from the planet's surface. Warning alarms began sounding on every ship in the fleet. Multiple weapon discharges detected planetside, reported the sensor officer on Commander Thexval's flagship. Energy signatures are consistent with military-grade systems. "That is impossible," Commander Thexval replied. "The planet is abandoned. There are no humans down there." "Sir, I am also detecting new contacts in orbital space. Multiple objects that were not there yesterday." Chief Pilot Minji Kang smiled from her position in a hidden bunker on New Busan's surface. She was controlling the orbital defense platforms that had been disguised as space debris for the past 3 years. The aliens had flown right past them without noticing. "Orbital defense platforms online," she reported to Commander Kim. "Target lock acquired on all enemy ships." The hidden platforms opened fire simultaneously. Energy beams and missile launches lit up the space around New Busan. The lightly defended Valerian ships were not prepared for a coordinated orbital assault. "We are taking fire from multiple sources," screamed the communication officer on the flagship. "Unknown weapons platforms throughout the system." Commander Thexval realized with growing horror that his fleet had been trapped. The abandoned human colony was not abandoned at all. It was a carefully prepared ambush that had taken years to set up. On the surface, the battle raged through the streets of New Busan City. Valerian troops tried to retreat to their landing ships, but human tunnel teams blocked every escape route. The aliens found themselves surrounded in the middle of the city with nowhere to run. Colonel Zex Mira's headquarters came under direct attack when a converted mining drill broke through the building's wall. The massive machine was now equipped with armor plating and weapon systems. It looked like a metal dinosaur with guns. "All units fall back to the spaceport," she ordered. "We need to reach the transport ships." But the spaceport was already under human control. Captain Shin's main force had emerged from tunnels directly beneath the landing field. The Valerian transport ships were surrounded by human soldiers and weapons platforms. The aliens were trapped on the surface with no way to retreat. Their orbital fleet was under attack from hidden defense platforms. Their ground forces were outnumbered and surrounded. In less than 1 hour, their easy conquest had become a disaster. This was all planned, Colonel Zexamira realized as she watched her troops being defeated on all sides. The humans were never gone. They have been waiting for us. Commander Thexval tried to coordinate a response from his flagship, but his ship was taking heavy damage from the orbital platforms. His fleet was being systematically destroyed by weapons that had been hiding in plain sight. "How did we miss this?" he asked Captain Velthar. "How did an entire human colony disappear from our sensors?" "They did not disappear," Captain Velthar replied, studying the tactical situation with new understanding. "They went underground. This entire operation was designed to trap us." The battle for New Busan was just beginning, but already it was clear that the humans had achieved complete tactical surprise. The abandoned colony had been the perfect bait, and the Valerian fleet had taken it completely. The battle for New Busan continued into the afternoon, but it was becoming clear that the Valerians had seriously underestimated human creativity. What the aliens had thought would be an easy occupation was turning into a nightmare of unexpected weapons and impossible tactics. Technical Sergeant Won-Sik Lee crouched behind a damaged alien transport, watching his modified mining drones fly toward enemy positions. He was 26 years old and had worked in the colony's mining operations before the war. Now his peaceful mining equipment had become weapons of destruction. "Drone strike incoming," he reported over the communication network. "Target is the alien command post in Sector 7. The mining drones had been designed to break apart asteroid rocks in space. Won-Sik had modified them with explosive charges and remote guidance systems. To the Valerian soldiers, they looked like small flying bombs that could navigate through buildings and around obstacles. The drones reached their target and exploded with tremendous force. The alien command post disappeared in a cloud of smoke and debris. Valerian officers who had been coordinating their defense were suddenly cut off from their troops. "Direct hit confirmed," Won-Sik reported. "Enemy command structure in that sector is eliminated." Sergeant Ha Na-yoon was having similar success with her construction mechs. These large robotic suits had been built for construction work, lifting heavy materials and operating in dangerous environments. Hana had converted them into combat suits. "Construction mech team moving to support tunnel operations," she announced as her team walked through the city streets. Each mech was now equipped with armor plating and mounted weapons. They looked like giant metal warriors from ancient stories. The Valerian troops had never seen anything like it. Their standard weapons were designed to fight other soldiers, not massive construction robots. The mechs walked through enemy fire without taking damage, crushing alien positions under their heavy metal feet. "Target the power systems," Colonel Zexamira ordered her troops. "Those machines must have weak points." But the humans had anticipated this problem. Hana's team had backup power sources and redundant control systems. Even when the aliens managed to damage one part of a mech, the machine kept fighting. In the underground laboratories, Dr. Byung-ho Ryu was preparing to deploy his most experimental weapons. He was 51 years old and had been the colony's head scientist since its establishment. For 3 years, he had been working on projects that pushed the limits of human technology. "Gravity manipulator online," he reported to Commander Kim. "Ready for first field test." The gravity manipulator had started as mining equipment designed to move heavy materials without mechanical lifting. Dr. Ryu had modified it to create artificial gravity fields that could crush enemy vehicles or lift them into the air. Test target acquired, announced the operator. Valerian heavy tank in the industrial district. The gravity manipulator activated with a low humming sound. The alien tank, which had been advancing toward a human position, suddenly found itself lifted 3 meters off the ground. Its tracks spun uselessly in the air while human soldiers attacked it from below. Incredible, Dr. Ryu said, watching the results. The system works better than predicted. We can use this against their larger vehicles. Meanwhile, the colony's industrial fabricators were working at maximum capacity. These machines had been designed to manufacture everything the colony needed, from simple tools to complex electronics. Now they were producing ammunition and spare parts for the ongoing battle. Captain Tae-Woo Park supervised the fabrication operations from a hidden factory deep underground. He was 34 years old and had experience with military logistics. His job was to make sure the human forces never ran out of supplies. Production rate is exceeding expectations, he reported. We are manufacturing ammunition faster than our troops can use it. The fabricators are also producing replacement parts for damaged equipment. This was a crucial advantage that the aliens had not expected. Human forces could repair and resupply themselves during the battle, while the Valerians were cut off from their main fleet support. The aliens began to realize that every aspect of the human colony had been designed with warfare in mind. The buildings that looked like ordinary structures were actually fortified positions. The streets that seemed normal were actually planned to channel enemy movements into killing zones. They have been preparing for this fight for years, Colonel Zexmira told her surviving officers. Every part of this colony is a weapon system. The hidden supply tunnels allowed human forces to appear and disappear throughout the city. Valerian troops would clear a building of enemies, only to have human soldiers emerge from underground passages an hour later. It was like fighting an enemy that could teleport. We need to collapse their tunnel system, suggested one Valerian officer. If we can trap them underground, we can regain control of the surface. With what explosives? Colonel Zexmira replied. Most of our heavy weapons are destroyed, and we do not know where the tunnel entrances are located. Above the planet, the orbital battle was going equally badly for the Valerians. Commander Thexaval watched helplessly as his ships were picked apart by the hidden defense platforms. How many platforms are there? He asked his sensor officer. At least 20, confirmed, sir. Possibly more. They were perfectly camouflaged as space debris. Our sensors registered them as harmless asteroids. The human orbital platforms were not just hidden weapons. They were also mobile, using small engines to change position and avoid return fire. This made them nearly impossible for the Valerian fleet to target effectively. Our tactical computer cannot calculate firing solutions, the weapons officer reported. The platforms keep moving, and we do not have accurate position data. On the surface, human special operations teams continued to demonstrate their adaptability. When the aliens adapted to one tactic, the humans immediately switched to another approach. It was like fighting an enemy that learned and evolved during the battle. Major Unhinam's tunnel teams had studied Valerian military procedures for months before the attack. They knew exactly how alien forces would respond to different threats, and they had prepared counters for each possible response. Enemy forces are regrouping near the spaceport, she reported, switching to harassment tactics, keep them off balance and prevent organized resistance. Her teams began using hit-and-run attacks, emerging from tunnels to strike enemy positions and then disappearing before the aliens could respond. It was impossible for the Valerians to predict where the next attack would come from. The aliens were learning that fighting humans was completely different from fighting any other species they had encountered. Other races relied on superior technology or greater numbers. Humans relied on creativity, adaptability, and the willingness to use any available resource as a weapon. They are not fighting like a military force, observed Captain Velthar from the flagship. They are fighting like engineers and scientists who have been given weapons. What do you mean? Commander Thexaval asked. Look at their tactics. They are using mining equipment, construction tools, manufacturing systems. Everything in their colony has become part of their war effort. It is like fighting an entire industrial civilization that has been converted to military purposes. As the day wore on, it became clear that the humans had achieved something unprecedented. They had turned their entire colony into a single massive weapon system, with every person and every piece of equipment working together toward victory. The Valerian Empire was about to learn that underestimating human ingenuity was a fatal mistake. As the sun began to set on New Busan, the true scope of human preparation became impossible to ignore. What the Valerians had discovered was not just a military trap, but evidence of something much larger and more frightening. Commander Young-ho Bei emerged from the deepest levels of the underground complex, accompanied by a team of guards escorting captured Valerian officers. He was 55 years old and had been the colony's military advisor since its founding. Today was the first time he had appeared on the surface since the aliens arrived. "Bring the prisoners to the main conference room," he ordered. It is time they understood what they have stumbled into. Colonel Zexmira found herself sitting across a table from the human commander, along with 3 other captured Valerian officers. She was wounded and exhausted, but her mind was still sharp, enough to realize that this meeting was important. "You are probably wondering how an abandoned colony managed to destroy most of your fleet," Commander Bei began, speaking in perfect Valerian language. "The answer is simple. This colony was never abandoned." "That is impossible," Colonel Zexmira replied. "Our sensors detected no life signs. Our intelligence reports confirmed that humans left this world 3 years ago." Commander Bei smiled. "Your intelligence reports were correct. Most humans did leave New Busan 3 years ago, but 50,000 of us stayed behind, living underground, preparing for exactly this scenario." He activated a wall display that showed the true extent of the underground cities. The Valerian officers stared in amazement at tunnels and chambers that extended throughout the entire continent. It was like looking at a hidden civilization that existed beneath the surface world. "We knew you were coming," Commander Bei continued. "Our deep space sensors detected your exploration fleet 6 months ago. We had time to prepare every detail of this trap." "But why?" asked one of the captured officers. "Why sacrifice an entire colony just to destroy one fleet?" "Because we knew this fleet was only the beginning," Commander Bei replied. "Your empire has been expanding toward human space for decades. Intelligence reports indicated that New Busan was selected as a staging area for attacks on other human colonies. This was the moment when the Valerians realized their true situation. The battle for New Busan was not about one colony defending itself. It was about humanity striking the first blow in a much larger conflict. Specialist Ji-hoon Moon was broadcasting from the colony's communication center, sending carefully prepared messages to Valerian military networks throughout the galaxy. He was 24 years old and had studied alien communication systems during his training on Earth. "Message transmission complete," he reported to his supervisors. "Enemy forces throughout this sector will receive our fabricated intelligence within 12 hours. The messages contained false but believable information about human military preparations. They suggested that dozens of human colonies had similar underground defenses, and that the New Busan battle was just one example of humanity's secret military capabilities. The psychological impact will be significant," explained Dr. Mi-young Choi, who had helped design the disinformation campaign. "Other Valerian commanders will begin to question whether any human settlement is truly defenseless." The fabricated intelligence was mixed with real footage from the New Busan battle. Video recordings showed human mining equipment destroying alien tanks, construction mechs walking through enemy fire, and orbital defense platforms emerging from what looked like empty space. Captain Hye-jin Cho was leading the final assault on the flagship of the Valerian fleet. She was 31 years old and had specialized in boarding operations during her military training. Her team had captured a damaged Valerian transport ship and was using it to approach the enemy flagship. "Boarding team ready," she reported. "Target vessel shows significant damage from orbital platform attacks. Estimated crew strength is reduced by 60%. Her team was equipped with captured Valerian weapons that had been quickly analyzed and improved by human engineers. The aliens would face their own technology, enhanced by human modifications. Remember, we need their command systems intact." Captain Cho told her soldiers. The information in their computers will be valuable for future operations. The boarding operation was successful. Human soldiers moved through the alien ship using tactics that the Valerians had never encountered. Instead of advancing through corridors like traditional boarding parties, the humans cut new passages through walls and floors, appearing in unexpected locations throughout the ship. Human forces have breached decks 7, 9, and 12 simultaneously, reported a terrified Valerian officer. They are not using normal boarding procedures. Commander Thexval realized that his flagship was lost. The humans had not just defeated his fleet, they had captured the command ship and all of its intelligence. Data. Everything the Valerian Empire knew about human space would now be in enemy hands. Surrender protocol activated, he announced to his remaining crew. All units cease resistance. Back on the surface of New Busan, the battle was reaching its conclusion. The few surviving Valerian ground forces had been surrounded and forced to surrender. The spaceport was under complete human control, and the alien transport ships had been captured intact. Engineer Su-Jin Lee was already examining the captured alien technology with great interest. Her team had recovered several advanced weapon systems and vehicle designs that could be adapted for human use. This plasma cannon is actually inferior to our railgun technology, she reported to Commander Kim, but their armor plating is more advanced than ours. We can learn from this. How long to reverse engineer their systems? Commander Kim asked. With our fabrication facilities, we can produce modified versions within 2 weeks. The alien designs are efficient, but they lack the adaptability of human engineering. This was perhaps the most frightening aspect of the human victory from the Valerian perspective. Not only had the humans defeated a superior force, but they were already improving captured technology and preparing to use it against other alien targets. The message being sent to the galaxy was clear. Humanity was not the primitive species that other races had assumed. They were adaptable, innovative, and extremely dangerous when threatened. As night fell on New Busan, human families began emerging from the deep underground shelters. Children who had lived in tunnels for 3 years saw sunlight for the first time in their memory. Parents who had worked as soldiers and engineers during the day returned to their roles as mothers and fathers. But everyone understood that this victory was just the beginning. The Valerian Empire would not ignore the destruction of an entire exploration fleet. Other alien races would hear about the battle and draw their own conclusions about human military capabilities. Commander Bay addressed the colony over the internal communication system. Today we have proven that humanity will not be conquered easily, but tomorrow we must prepare for the larger war that is certainly coming. What about other human colonies? Asked Dr. Choi. Will they be able to defend themselves like we did? They will not need to, Commander Bay replied with confidence. News of our victory will spread throughout human space. Every colony will begin preparing similar defenses. And the next time aliens attack human settlements, they will find us ready. The abandoned colony of New Busan had become something much more important than anyone had planned. It had become the symbol of humanity's refusal to be conquered and the proof that human ingenuity could overcome any technological advantage. The galaxy would never look at humanity the same way again. 3 days after the battle ended, New Busan looked completely different from the empty colony the Valerians had first discovered. The surface cities were alive with activity as humans emerged from their underground homes to reclaim their world. The Valerian fleet was completely destroyed or captured. Of the 17 ships that had arrived with such confidence, only 4 remained intact enough to be useful. The rest were scattered debris floating in orbit around New Busan, a permanent reminder of what happened when someone underestimated humanity. Admiral Kyung-Soo Han stood on the observation deck of his flagship, watching the cleanup operations on the planet below. He was 62 years old and had been coordinating human military operations from a hidden fleet position beyond the edge of the star system. For the past week, he had remained silent while the colonists fought their battle, alone. This was necessary for the trap to work perfectly. The Valerians had to believe they were fighting only a single isolated colony. Signal all surviving Valerian personnel. Admiral Han ordered his communication officer. "I want to address them directly." The remaining alien prisoners were gathered in the main conference facility that had been built in New Busan's government district. Commander Thexval sat with his surviving officers, still trying to understand how their superior fleet had been defeated so completely. Admiral Han's image appeared on the main viewing screen. He was wearing the uniform of the human Colonial Defense Force with rank insignia that the Valerians had never seen before. "I am Admiral Han, commanding officer of the human Colonial Defense Fleet," he announced. "I want to explain what you have experienced here, so you can carry this message back to your empire." Commander Thexval leaned forward in his chair. "There are more human military forces." "Much more," Admiral Han replied. "What you encountered at New Busan was not a desperate defense by isolated colonists. It was a carefully planned operation conducted by one of our most experienced military colonies." The Admiral activated a tactical display that showed the true scope of human military preparation. Star maps revealed defense fleets positioned throughout human space, along with detailed information about colonial military capabilities. "Humanity has been aware of alien civilizations for much longer than you realize," Admiral Han continued. "We have been monitoring your expansion patterns and preparing for inevitable contact. New Busan was selected as a test site because we knew your scouts would identify it as an easy target." Colonel Zexamira felt a chill of fear as she realized the implications. This was all planned from the beginning. The colony, the abandonment, everything. "The abandonment was real," Admiral Han confirmed. "Most of the original colonists were evacuated to safety, but we left behind our most experienced military personnel, along with volunteers who were willing to live underground for 3 years to make this operation successful." Engineer Sungmin Yoon was working in one of the captured Valerian ships, leading a team of human technicians who were studying alien technology. He was 28 years old and had graduated from the Colonial Engineering Institute just 2 years before the war began. "Admiral, we have completed the preliminary analysis of captured alien systems," he reported over the communication network. "Their technology is advanced, but not as advanced as we expected." "Explain," Admiral Han requested. "Their weapons and propulsion systems are approximately 20 years ahead of standard human technology," Sungmin replied. "But they lack the modularity and adaptability of human designs. Once we understand their systems, we can improve them significantly." This was another terrifying revelation for the Valerian prisoners. Not only had humans defeated their fleet, but they were already improving captured alien technology and preparing to use it against other targets. "Your plasma weapons are powerful but inefficient," Sungmin continued, addressing the alien prisoners directly. "Our engineers have already designed improved versions that use 30% less power and have twice the range." "That is impossible," protested a Valerian technical officer. "Those weapons took our best scientists 15 years to develop." "Human engineering approaches problems differently," Sungmin explained. "We focus on practical solutions and rapid adaptation. Your designs are elegant, but they are not flexible." Outside, the surface of New Busan was transforming again. The empty buildings that had fooled the aliens were being converted into genuine settlements. Families were moving back to the surface, and construction crews were building new facilities. But these were not the simple colonial structures the aliens had expected to find. The new buildings incorporated lessons learned from 3 years of underground living, along with defensive features designed to repel future attacks. "The colony will be stronger than ever," reported construction supervisor Jinny Park to Admiral Han. "We are building with the assumption that more alien fleets will eventually arrive." "Will the colonists be ready for another attack?" the Admiral asked. "They will be more than ready," Jinny replied with confidence. "Every adult in this colony now has military training and combat experience. Every building will have defensive capabilities, and we will never again be caught unprepared." The psychological impact of the New Busan victory was already spreading throughout both human and alien space. News of the battle reached other human colonies within days, carried by the regular communication networks that connected human settlements. 12 other colonies have requested military advisors to help them prepare similar defenses, reported the communication center. 6 more want to establish underground cities like ours. What about alien reactions? Demiral Han asked. Intercepted communications indicate significant concern among several alien governments. The Valerian Empire has suspended all expansion operations pending a review of human military capabilities. This was exactly the result Admiral Han had hoped to achieve. One successful defense had changed the balance of power in the entire region of space. Alien races that had considered humanity weak and primitive were now forced to reconsider their assumptions. As the week progressed, the full scope of human preparation became clear to the captured Valerians. They learned that New Busan was not unique, but part of a larger network of defended human settlements. They discovered that humanity had been planning for interstellar conflict for decades. How many colonies like this do you have? Commander Thexval asked during one of his interrogation sessions. Enough, Admiral Han replied simply. And after today there will be many more. The Admiral was not exaggerating. Within 2 weeks of the New Busan victory, human colonies throughout the frontier began implementing similar defensive preparations. The successful defense had provided a template that other settlements could adapt to their own situations. Dr. Byung-ho Ryu was documenting the technical innovations developed during the battle. His report would be distributed to every human colony, allowing them to benefit from New Busan's 3 years of preparation. The gravity manipulation technology has applications beyond military use, he explained to Admiral Han. Colonies can use it for construction, mining, and transportation, but when needed it becomes a powerful defensive weapon. What about the orbital defense platforms? Even simpler to implement, Dr. Ryu replied. Any colony with basic manufacturing capability can build them. The key innovation was the camouflage technology that made them invisible to alien sensors. The captured Valerian officers were eventually released and allowed to return to their empire, but not before they had seen everything Admiral Han wanted them to see. They carried with them detailed knowledge of human military capabilities and a clear message for their government. Tell your leaders that humanity is willing to coexist peacefully with other species, Admiral Han told them before their departure. But we will not tolerate attempts at conquest or colonization of human space. Commander Thexval looked back at New Busan one final time as his damaged ship prepared to leave the system. The planet that had seemed like such an easy target now looked like a fortress world, bristling with defensive systems and populated by people who had proven they would fight for their independence. What will you tell the High Command? Colonel, Zex Mira asked him. The truth, he replied. That humanity is far more dangerous than we believed, and that any attempt to conquer them will result in massive casualties for minimal gain. As the Valerian survivors departed, life on New Busan continued to return to normal, but it was a new kind of normal that incorporated the lessons of war. Children who had grown up in underground cities now played in surface parks, but they also attended classes on emergency procedures and basic military training. The colony's success had proven that human creativity, determination, and willingness to sacrifice could overcome superior technology and numbers. But more importantly, it had shown that humanity would not be conquered without a fight. Commander Junho Kim stood in the memorial garden that had been built to honor the few colonists who had died during the battle. The casualties had been remarkably light considering the scope of the conflict, thanks to 3 years of careful preparation and planning. Was it worth it? Asked Dr. Mi Young Choi, joining him in the garden. 3 years underground, all that preparation, the risk to every person in the colony. Commander Kim looked out over the thriving surface city where human FA